like how to be a man.
Don't watch TV. Don't watch television. Because that's a poor example of what a man should be. Because that's dramatizing. To be a man is about taking responsibility. What goes back to what the question is asked is being responsible not only for yourself but for your community, because that's what you're made for. You're made to be responsible. You were created to be responsible. And so whether or not, if you didn't have an example, but you do have a conscience.
If you have to go back 40 years back to change things about your life, what would it be? And if there are still something you can do, what would that be as well?
You know, the only thing I would probably change in my life is being a better husband to my wife. That would probably be the only thing that I would probably change. I would want to be a better husband. I would want her to be loved. I would want her to be appreciated more than what I did. But I wouldn't change anything else because why? Because I'm still growing as a man. I'm still learning as a man. I'm still developing as a man. When you stop growing, you stop living.
How to be able to solve those problems and how to fight those problems, and by being good responsible of the society, of the nation, of the country, of whole world, and how. This is my question to you, and thank you.
So it starts with you. You have to identify who you are. Most people don't know who they are. Most people have no idea who they are. When they look in the mirror, you know, they see a reflection looking back, but who is that? Who is this person looking back at me? What do they have to offer? What are they capable of, right? So when you're thinking about, say for instance, you say things that you may get caught up in and decisions that you make, right? Think about this. Your life is full of what? Decisions. You made a decision to come here this morning, right? You make a decision to ask a question. So it's your decisions. Not that things don't come to your head. You get ideas, you get thoughts all the time. But you're the one who chooses to either follow them or say, no, that's a bad thought, that's a bad idea, I'm not going to do it.
Check 1, check 2, that's your boy Saleh. We're back again, and we are precisely in Chadian English Center, and today we have a very fantastic guest. You know him, we have seen him before, and we invite him to talk about a very fantastic topic that touches every single African youth. So the topic is here, the lack of responsibility of nowadays youth. So guys, stay connected and be precise and concise and short in questions, guys, okay? And let's go. You can start.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so this topic of responsibility, and I think from my perspective is the reason why the youth have a lack of responsibility is because adults are not setting the example that they should be setting, right? Everyone is caught up into trying to make something out of this life, trying to achieve, right? And so the youth, they're trying to figure out, where do I fit in? The changing dynamics that take place in life, the things that happens in life that is forcing people to try to scramble for, you know, their livelihood, right? And so everyone is trying to figure out, how do I get mine? That's what we are now. Everyone is trying to figure out, how do I get what I need? How do I get what belongs to me? We don't have a sense of community like it used to be. Youth are not connected to one another, where when I was coming up, we were kind of like together, and we worked together and trying to achieve something, right? And we push one another. You know, I push you to achieve. You push me to achieve. I cheer you on, right? You cheer me on, you believe in me. Now what it's turned into is competition, right? We're competing with each other. And so what happens is that I'm busy trying to hold you back so I can get here. You're busy trying to hold me back so that you can get here. And neither one of us are getting there. Why? Because we're not working together. Because why? We assume that there's not enough room for all of us. So I have to make sure there's room for me. But there's room for all of us, believe you. God has created this whole world. And if you're here, that means there's a place for you. Correct? And so because there's a place for you, then there's no reason to try to keep someone else from achieving. You should try to help them to achieve, because part of what we're supposed to do is that we're supposed to look out for our brothers and our sisters, right? And we're supposed to help them as they move along. Now, help them could mean telling them the truth when they need to hear it. If they're wrong, you tell them that they're wrong. And if you get information that someone say that you're doing something wrong, then willing to adjust. And so we are in a society right now to where competition, I think, takes away this thing about what is my responsibility, because now people figure my responsibility is to get what I can get, right? The car, the clothes, whatever it is that I need to get what I can get. Where when I was coming up, responsibilities came from our parents. You're responsible to take care of this farm. You're responsible to do these duties. You're responsible to get a good education. That's your responsibility, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with the burden that has been put on parents to survive in a world that's so aggressive now, correct? To where parents are struggling, so they don't have time to help the kids. They don't have time to kind of show the responsibility or show a child how to be responsible. They're busy, right? But they haven't learned how to draw back, and that's what you have to learn how to do, is to draw back, and not only that, see where you can be responsible, and then take responsibility for that, because you know that this is going to help you move through life. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Now we're going to go to the question section. Guys, who has a question? The mic is yours. Go ahead, Abdulaziz. I'll give it to you.
Okay, that is very interesting topic, and as you know, the being responsible for yourself, like, that is not easy. Like, in majority people like don't know to be responsible for themselves, and there is something people like doesn't know, like being responsible for yourself. Like, for example, if your father have a lot of money or kind of thing, like, you don't worry about your father. But in majority people here, like, they worry about their father. And what is the best way to be responsible for yourself? Like, as you know here, like, as in general, like, as you are young, to be responsible for yourself.
Okay. Really, when I look at the question is how do I be responsible for myself? It's looking at your journey, figuring out where you want to go, right? And when you look at where you want to go and how do I get there, there are certain things that you have to do in order to get there, correct? And in order to do that, you have to set some goals. You also have to have parameters to say that I have to work within here. I can't do everything and achieve what I want to achieve, right? And you have to learn from the past. Part of taking responsibility is learning from the past. How many times you see people repeat the same thing over and over again? The same mistake, the same problem over and over again. So you're not taking responsibility to even learn from your mistakes. And that's a big part of it. Learning from your mistakes, applying what you learn to your next steps, to your next efforts, being able to do that. And as far as for parents, it really just depends, because when you look at your parents and the state of their condition, do your parents expect you to do something for them, right? Do they put that burden on you? Or do your parents expect you to, where they support you with going out and becoming the man or the woman that they, raised you to be, or that they would desire you to be? So the responsibility is up to you, because each one of you have different lives, you have different experience, you come up in different environments, right? So you have to figure out, what responsibility should I take? What things should I do so I can survive in this environment?
Another question. Where? Back there.
My question is for the responsibility. Is it there is a specific age? There is a specific age for the responsibility, and the responsibility need patience or not?
Okay. Is there a specific age to be responsible? No, there isn't. It's typically parents should instill that in you from a child, right? So when you, for small children, pick up your toys, put them away, put your clothes in the, where the dirty clothes go. Help mommy and daddy around the house. As you grow, you start doing things, right? Take out the trash when I got older, feed the animals, all those things, right? That's teaching you responsibility. So as soon as you can start doing something as a child, you start learning responsibility. And what happens is that then you don't have to do anything. I have 2 little boys, right? And I watch them start doing stuff on their own. Why? Because we required them to do it, from little boys. Now they just do it. They're learning responsibility. And so now they learn that whatever belongs to you, you're responsible for it. Right? This is your brother, right? You're responsible for him. You're responsible for his safety. So when you start looking around, you have to think about everything. And if you're late to the game of responsibility, you have to start today and say, I have to be responsible for myself, or I'm not going to get to where I want to go. I have to make better decisions. I have to choose better friends, which is a problem, right? I have to choose better people around me. So if I have people around me that are not going any place, and you listen to them, do you think you're going any place? You're not. So responsibility should start from youth, but you get to the age now to where you have to take responsibility. Why? Because you're an adult. And you're going to be responsible for yourself. If you make a mistake, right? In America, when you turn 18 years old, you're an adult. No longer do they call your parents to say, hey, I have your child, can you come? No. You go to jail or wherever else, right? And then it's up to you to figure it out, right? So you're an adult. So you're an adult now. Whatever you didn't learn, now you have to learn it to be responsible. Does that answer your question?
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
The first time that we met you in the U.S. Embassy,
Okay.
I thought that you were 40. I told you that. I thought that you were 40, and you are 62. My question is almost like the question of this guy. It's not about responsibility, but like how to be a man. Like most people, the problem that we are facing nowadays is like they don't have even a father at home or someone to learn from it. Most people, most young kids are like that nowadays.
Okay. So this ideal of what does it mean to be a man, right? So I would say, first of all, don't watch TV. Don't watch television. Okay. Because that's a poor example of what a man should be, right? Because that's dramatizing. A man, to be a man, is about taking responsibility. What goes back to what the question is asked, is being responsible not only for yourself, but for your community, because that's what you're made for. You're made to be responsible. You were created to be responsible, right? And so whether or not, if you didn't have an example, right? But you do have a conscience. You have something inside of you to tell you what's right and wrong, correct? And so you have to start figuring out, I need to do the right thing, okay? Or you can be like, there's a lot of young men who grew up without a father in the house, right? And they say, you know what, when I have children, I'm going to be an excellent father. I'm going to be a man who takes responsibility for his own actions, right? So that way I can be a good example. So it's not about telling someone what is good, it's showing what is good. So start doing the right thing, start making the right decision for the right reason, right? And you can see, just being a man means being good, taking care of those around you, right? Protecting those that are around you, correct? That's what it's all about. So that way, at some point in life, when you decide that I want a family, now you know how to look out for that family, take care of that family, protect that family, because that is your role as a man. Okay?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for giving me the floor. I just have one question. We said children can learn from their parents. There are some parents that try hard, they toil, they do everything to give the best values ever to their children. They send them in the best schools ever. But so far, those guys end up being useless people for the society. So, if a parent is having such children, for example, what kind of advice can you give them?
Well, for raising children, I think as part of the problem is that we think that raising children, or we think that stuff, things, material things, is a good life. And for a child, it's not. Some of your most influential, most well-respected children that'll grow up to be young men and young women, right? They struggle, right? If you make it too easy, then what do I have to do if it's easy? You have nothing to do. The parents make it too easy for the child. They buy everything they need. They go every place they want to go. They eat what they want to eat. They have no worries. So they grow up thinking life is easy. And then the parent something may happen to the parent. They're no longer able to produce that life. And the child has no clue about how to get there. How did we get to this place? Did he learn anything about how hard his parents worked to get there? No. All he knows, he wakes up in the morning. She wakes up in the morning, and whatever I need is there. If I need it, I ask for it. It's there. Right? So as a parent, making sure that child understands that life takes work, and you have to be willing to work, and make sure that child is part of that work effort, and that everything that they get, they know that it took energy, it took work, it took sacrifice to get there. And so you have to make them earn things. They want stuff, then what have you done to earn this? They doing any work around the house? They doing hard work in school? Are they bringing home good grades? Are they being obedient to, around them? Do people in the neighborhood say, wow, you have a really good son or daughter? Right? Those type of things. So if you want something, earn it.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you to have you here. My question is, we are in Africa. We are facing a lot of lack of responsibility. And, when you are a student and maybe your parents passed away and there is no one can take care of you in Africa here, and how can you have like a piece of advice to give us about those problems?
Well, I have the answer for you. You say if your parents passed away, right? But you were created. God created you, right? And everything and whatever you're going through, God knows about it. Okay? There's nothing that you experience that God does not know. And God always puts you in a place to where you can depend on Him. So if your mother, your father's not there, God is Father. God is a mother. God is everything that you need. You see, so whatever you do, that makes you dig inside of yourself, right? You dig inside of yourself, you find that way to survive. Okay? And never give up. Don't look around and say, woe is me, because I don't have this, I don't have that, right? You start figuring it out and say, you know what, I'm going to make it. And you keep telling yourself, I'm going to make it. I'm going to survive. No matter what's around me, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to work hard. Because what happens is when you find that gift inside of you and that gift start coming through, that gift will make room for you. No matter what it is, don't look for someone else to say, you know what, I'm waiting for someone else to give me something. I'm going to create that opportunity by what? Bringing the gift out that God put in me, so that gift will make room for me. Okay? So mother, father, whoever is not there, you're not the first one to go through that. You won't be the last one to go through that. But those people who have achieved, they refuse to give up. Right? They refuse to keep looking back on what they can't change. You can't change the fact that you lost your parents. You can't change the fact that this flood happened and you lost everything that you own, right? You can't change that. But what you can do is that you can get your cry out, even if it's multiple times, crying about it, right? You cry about it, you suck it up, and you go to work, right? Let's go build the next thing. That's what you do, because if you sit around sad, nobody wants to be around that, right? Suck it up, go to work. That's what you have to do.
Two last questions.
And thank you for coming here, and thank you for being with us. My question to you is, like, as we are talking about the topic, the lack of responsibility of nowadays youth. So nowadays I think we have to be responsible, but how? It's like some people say that we have to control ourselves and we have to know our weakness and our mistake. And when we master all those kind of things, we are going to be responsible. When we will be responsible and we have like a lot of problems, and how to fight those problems, like by managing people, managing times. So we are going to face many kind of problems, and how to be able to solve those problems and how to fight those problems, and by being good responsible of the society, of the nation, of the country, of whole world. And how? This is my question to you, and thank you.
So it starts with you, right? And you have to identify who you are. Most people don't know who they are, right? Most people have no idea who they are. When they look in the mirror, you know, they see a reflection looking back, but who is that? Who is this person looking back at me? What do they have to offer? What are they capable of? Right? So when you're thinking about, say for instance, you say things that you may get caught up in and decisions that you make, right? Think about this. Your life is full of what? Decisions. You made a decision to come here this morning, right? You make a decision to ask a question. So it's your decisions. Not that things don't come to your head, right? You get ideas, you get thoughts all the time. But you're the one who chooses to either follow them or say, no, that's a bad thought, that's a bad idea, I'm not going to do it. Correct? So those decisions that come to you, you have to understand every decision I make leads to something. Either something good or something bad, right? So you learn from your past so you make better decisions in the future, right? Sometimes it's kind of like having something that's very hot. Most people don't have to touch it one time to realize I don't want to touch it again. Correct? Right. Now there are some people who will touch it over and over again because they're slow learners, right? So the question of it is, are you a slow learner or are you a fast learner, right? If I tell you something is dangerous, do you have to touch it to find out? You know, if I tell you jumping off this building can break your legs, right? Now, some people look at that and say, you know, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to do that. Correct? Yeah. But there are some people may stand there and say, I don't know. I think I can possibly do it. That's life. Some people have to experience it in order to know that it works. And other people would say, you know what? I believe it because from my way of thinking, it makes sense. So you have to think about your decisions and how your decisions have led to where you are, right? Your parents made decisions that got you to a certain place. You maybe learn from them to make decisions, right? And if you know that those decisions and the way you make decisions are not good for you, don't blame your parents, right? They did what they know how. Now you have to realize, okay, maybe the way that mom and dad come up is not so good for me. I have to make different decisions because I want to go a different direction. So if you set a point out here, I'm just an example, right? If you're saying you're going to the heart here of N'Djamena, you know, and you make a decision that takes you that way. Correct? You know you're going the wrong direction, right? So are you going to make a decision that's going to take you that way? Or are you going to make a decision now? You say, you know what? I'm going to make a U-turn. Or I'm going to make a left turn because I need to go down here. Correct? So it's about your decision. And you have to know that every decision that you make is taking you someplace. Right? And if it's not taking you in the direction that you want to go, sometimes you have to take detours because the road may be too rough or the road may be impassable. Right? But those detours are meant to get you back to where you want to go. Okay? Your decisions.
We may have a last question, right?
Hello, sir. I'm glad to meet you, and I'm glad to be with us here. The question is, do parents have the effect on raising responsible children or the place when they grow up? Because maybe like the parents is more responsible and being tough with their children, but the place like they like give the more effect on their children, you know, because when you get a good parent but you can't get a good son, maybe it will be his crime, killing some people, or steal, or being thief, or something like that. This is my question.
Well, you know, it's like a parent, right? A child, you can't choose your parents. And the parent don't choose the child. You get what you get. Right? And I know parents who try very hard and they end up with children that make mistakes and get into trouble. Right? But and all that parent can do is love that child. And you find some parents who maybe don't do the right things, but that child grows up to be a good child. And you're like, but this kid was horrible, you know, but he grew up to be nice. In a horrible situation, grew up to be nice. And this child was in a great situation and grew up to be horrible. Right? Each one of us have our own walk in life, and those children, you make decisions. Even as a child, you're making decisions. Right? You can look back on your childhood as far as many years you can look back. You can see when you made a decision to do something, right? Say, for instance, your parents tell you, don't go in those cookies and don't bother this cake and whatever else, right? They're not looking. You make a decision to go do it, right? Correct? You knew it was wrong, but you did it. So that's telling you right then that you're making decisions to do things that you know that's wrong. And then they keep escalating. They escalate, right? You know, some parents, because today you can't do what they used to do when I was growing up. My dad used to, he would wear us out. You know, because why? Because he says that I do this because I loved you. And I'm thinking like, why would you, if you whoop me, then that doesn't show love, right? But now I realize that if he had allowed me to keep going the way that I was going without discipline, correct, that I would have turned out to be worse. So my friends who say my father never whooped me, some of them turn out to be horrible people, right? But my brothers and I, we turn out to be good guys. Why? Because my dad made sure he put that discipline in us, so you realize that there's punishment when you make mistakes. So kids don't understand there's punishment when they make mistakes. It's only when they get grown and end up in trouble like, well, what is this? What's going on? Because you never learned the lesson. You see? So my two little ones, they already tell me to bring the belt for the other one when they make mistakes. Daddy, bring the belt, right? Because the other one is making a mistake. So you have to learn. If you didn't learn discipline, someplace in life you have to learn it. And unfortunately, some people learn it the hard way. You know, maybe you're going to jail, right. You know, and some people never learn it and they end up dead. So you have to say, okay, I can't blame it on my parents anymore. I'm grown. Right. It's on you. Make good decisions. It goes back to what I said before, making good decisions.
I said it's the last question, but you know, this is our teacher. He wants to ask questions, so we may.
That's fine. I'm okay.
Thank you so much for being here with us. It's actually a golden opportunity. I qualify this. Great privilege to have you here. It was really inspirational and motivational, your speech. your background is a life lesson for us to learn. Yeah, my question is, if you have to go back 40 years back to change things about your life, what would it be? And if there are still something you can do, what would that be as well?
That's a good question. You know, and it's a hard one to answer, right? It's a hard one to answer because you realize that every experience you have led to where you are today. So probably the thing that, you know, if I could change something, right, in my life, 4 years back, you know, the only thing I would probably change in my life is being a better husband to my wife. That would probably be the only thing that I would probably change. I would want to be a better husband. I would want her to be loved. I would want her to be appreciated more than what I did, right? But I wouldn't change anything else because why? Because I'm still growing as a man. I'm still learning as a man. I'm still developing as a man, right? When you stop growing, you stop living. So when you think you've learned all you can learn, then you have no reason to be on this planet, right? So up until the day God decides to call me home, I'm still learning. I'm still growing and changing anything. Better husband to my wife, a better servant for my God. Those are the only things that I would probably do better. And that means I'll be better off now than I was then. But anything else, I'm not materialistic, nothing, none of that matters, right? Health choices, maybe. I wouldn't eat so much junk food. You know, I'll probably take some of that out, you know, this type of thing. But no, I wouldn't change anything because all your experiences lead you to where you are today. And today you're left now with what? A decision, right? Can you change what happened yesterday? You can ask forgiveness for it, right? But what you can do is that you can affect tomorrow by what you do today, right? So what you should do today is make a decision that I'm going to be better today so that my tomorrow will be better.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here and thank you for being part of this amazing conversation with this amazing man. And guys, you online, keep sharing and liking the whole thing if you think that it's helpful, guideful. And I'm sure that me personally in the audience right here, we have learned a lot and we have got a lot. So everything that this man has said are thought-provoking. And I think that when I get back home, I have to listen to that again, right? To really change a lot of things in my life. So guys, thank you very much. And thank you for being part of this conversation.
And just
thank
ask
you.
them if they have other topics that they want you to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll be willing to do that.
Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and experience. And guys, until the next time, stay legendary. Thank you very much. And this is Saleh. See you soon.